puberty. And puberty is defined by physical changes. For women, it's when menstruation starts, and for men, it's when they first experience ejaculation. So after that is when we are required to worship according to our teachings. So that includes the 5 prayers a day and fasting and giving charity.
Is there different denominations of Islam? Like in Christianity, there's like Catholicism and Presbyterian?
Yeah. The main 2, I would say, are Sunni and Shia. And Sunnis and Shias recognize each other as Muslims. It's more, I would say, probably a political difference more than a theological difference, kind of like Republicans and Democrats are still all Americans. It's like, it's same with Sunni and Shia. And their differences came about soon after the passing of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. It was, to really dumb it down, it was about who should lead the Muslim community. The Sunnis believed it was a meritocracy, that whoever is the best person for the job, and the Shias believed it should be somebody from the family of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, so it should be somebody from his line. And so that's where the split happened. But the majority of Muslims in the world are Sunni.
Is the Sufi?
So Sufi, many people get confused and think that Sufis are somebody different than Muslims or a sect of Islam. Sufism actually comes from that 3rd dimension that I told you about, which is worshiping with your soul. And so it's kind of like, I think even in Judaism they have like Kabbalah, there's like a mystical level of the religion. That's where Sufism is too. It's a training of the soul and how to worship God, but Sufis are Muslims. The only Sufis that you would say are not Muslims are the ones who say, oh, I'm so enlightened that I actually don't even have to pray anymore. I don't pray 5 times a day because God and I are like this now. That's not legitimate. There's a phrase called goofy Sufis for them. That's the whole idea of like, I'm spiritual, but I'm not religious. No, we believe that you have to worship with your body, your mind, and your soul.
So the community that worships in that big place in Walnut Creek, you know, that big white place?
Is that the white horse or white pony?
Yeah, it's right around in that neighborhood.
Right, they're not Muslims.
No,
they're not Muslims, and they don't even claim to be Muslims. But I think they call themselves Sufis, but they're not Muslims.
I see.
Yeah.
So being more of like a minority religion, raising kids in America, have you found it difficult for them to like kind of stay true to their morals when a lot of times it's not like reflected in society?
Yeah, you know what's really fascinating is I'm one of 37 cousins, and all of us are living outside of Pakistan, except for two of my cousins. And they just visited California for the first time. And their sons, my cousin's sons, are the same age as my kids. And it was really interesting because they're not religious at all. They don't pray, they don't practice, they barely even talk about the religion. Whereas all of our kids who were raised in America were like really religious and really spiritual and really like, worried about the prayer time coming in. And even if we're at Half Moon Bay on the beach, they're like, oh, prayer time's come in, I need to go off and take care of my prayer. So I think when you're a minority and you know that you can very easily lose this aspect of your identity, then you work harder at protecting it. And that's even what my cousins said. They're like, you know what, we take Islam for granted. We have a mosque on the corner of every street. Our neighbors are all Muslims. Our coworkers are all Muslims. Like, to them, it's just something they take for granted. Whereas over here, it's something you do have to preserve and protect. But yeah, it is hard when it's not reflected in society. And I know when I was growing up and I was in high school, my mom would always tell me, like, look for the Mormons, look for the kids who go to church, because they're the ones who, have values and will understand the concept of God. So there is an affinity with basically anyone who believes in God, because atheism is just so, it's like the new religion these days. So just knowing that, there are people who believe in God, that gives a lot of peace and comfort. But yeah, it is a struggle to hold on.
Hypothetically, what if someone in your family were to tell you, like, hey, I believe in something else?
Yeah, I've thought about that, actually. So, I won't lie. I mean, I believe Islam's the truth, right? That doesn't mean that I don't believe in Christianity or Judaism, but I do believe in Islam as the truth, and I do believe, and I think it's okay to have conviction in what you believe, but I've also made peace with the fact that I've done my job, which was to teach my kids what was required of me to teach them, and ultimately everybody has their own journeys, and there's a point at which I end and my kids begin, and I understood that a while ago, and yeah, I think, and to me the main thing is to show my kids that Islam has allowed us to live a good life, good, clean life, and there's a lot of peace and a lot of joy and a lot of love in it, and I hope that's what they find in their lives.
Any other questions?
You're a great speaker.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.